Dolphins thirsty, they never show no mercy. On the field or in the game, Miami knows how to play. Dolphins thirsty, we all get down and dirty. Tell you what you wanna know, it's the Dolphins Show. Quench your thirst for all things Miami Dolphins. They are the football kings, cause they play to win. Come on in and have some fun, whether we have lost or we have won. For all things Miami, it's Dolphins Thursday.
Good evening and happy Wednesday, hump day to all you Miami Dolphin fans out there. Welcome to the show. As you can see, tonight I'm joined by Steve Malloy. Last night I was his co-host. Tonight he's my co-host, but here we're just all hosts because we all love the Dolphins and we all have the same goal of the Dolphins winning some playoff games and Super Bowl. And even though some of the reports out of the camp are not what we want to hear, Steve, you're my A-man here. So give us some initial thoughts from what you're hearing. Neither one of us were at the practices the past 2 days, but from reports, Steve, what are you hearing? Let's start at what everyone wants to talk about, quarterback. What are you hearing about the quarterback play of the Miami Dolphins?
All right. Well, thank you, Rob. I appreciate it. Joining you here again tonight. Well, from what I'm hearing and what I've observed, I did take a little peek at some of the live footage from the joint practices today. Quarterback situation right now. Mike White is ahead of the game as far as quarterbacks, and that's including our number one. And Skylar Thompson has kind of dropped off a little bit, although he had a better day today. I think he was like 8 of 11. Mike White was 5 of 5. In all fairness to Skylar Thompson, last couple practices, even before the joint practices, he wasn't getting a lot of reps. So all fairness to him, he wasn't getting a lot of reps. I guess they want to take a good look at Mike White, and Mike White has looked sharp. I mean, throws a nice ball. So he's definitely ahead of the game as far as our backup quarterback.
Right.
Tua Tagovailoa, our starting quarterback. I'm just going to tell you like it is. I'm not going to sugarcoat it or anything like that. He's not playing very well. He's playing about very inconsistent, but he is consistent of not playing very well. Right. He's been consistent of holding on to the ball. He's been consistent on forcing the ball downfield. He has been consistent in making bad decisions in this Fangio defense, and he's been consistent of underthrowing the ball on occasion. Okay,
right.
So if you ask some of the beat writers, a lot of the beat writers are concerned about this right now, because this year, not just Tua, but the offense as a whole, last year at this time, they were cooking. They were cooking out on the field. I mean, they were throwing the ball downfield. They were, doing some running plays and things like that, and making some good plays on the defense. But this year, it seems like the offense have just they're not in sync. The receivers and the quarterbacks are just not in sync. And I'll be quite frank with you. I know you asked me about the quarterback, but the offensive line, yes, we have some struggles there. It's not the line. It's not the line that's making the problems for this
It's
offense.
Not all on the line. I would go that.
It's not all on the line. It's not all on it. Yeah,
you're
right.
Right, because they were getting dominated yesterday's practice.
Getting
dominated up front, and the Falcons had like 4-something sacks or something like that. So
but well, I'm not going to count sacks so much because in a real game, sometimes a lot. Yeah, in a real game, a lot of times these quarterbacks are going to scramble out of that or get out of that, and make a play. But anyway, for joint practice's sake, there were 4 sacks, and it's not AJ, believe it or not. AJ, Austin Jackson, has been the most consistent offensive lineman. Hunt has had a lot of losses, battles, a lot of losses. Connor Williams is not playing very well at all. Of course, Taron Armstrong isn't going to practice a lot. I know he did take some reps today, maybe 2 or 3, but Liam Eichenberg, I have no clue why they're continuing to give this guy a starting position, because he's, whenever there's practices and joint practice, he's been the starter. Now maybe they want to take a good look at him, but I'm telling you right now, man, he is our weak link on this O-line. And as we've talked about this in the past, Rob, I've said that AJ, I trust AJ more than I trust Liam, and so far now it seems to be panning out, and I think we both agreed on that.
No, I agree. Eichenberg and the Dolphins traded up for, it's tough, man. The Dolphins traded up for Eichenberg and then gave up a future high draft pick to move up and get him, and he's just been a total disappointment. Hey, George of DG Live, thank you for stopping by.
Hey, George,
So,
how you doing,
yeah,
brother?
hey, we love it. Hey,
Don't
no
forget,
worry. We
Rob.
understand, DG. Catch us on the flip side. Don't worry. You'll be in our show soon enough again when you got some time. And of course, let me get Hank. Hank's been in there. Hank and Steve, by the way, they're both here on Dolphins Thirsty, of course, at times, but they're also on the Fins Talk Sports Network. So make sure you go over there after this show and check that network out. I'm also on that network, Fins Talk Sports Network. So make sure you check them out. Steve and I, every Tuesday night at this same time we're going tonight, or every Tuesday night on that network.
Hey, Rob,
So,
don't forget about DG Live.
Yeah, DG Live. He has a great channel, does a lot of great analysis, breaks down stuff, does a very good job. And he's also an awesome Dolphin fan on top
Absolutely.
of it. And it's like me, lives in the South Florida area. So anyway, yeah, I am still concerned. In the offensive line, I know you said you weren't as concerned today as you were getting on the reports yesterday, but I'm still worried about the offensive line because that's the one thing over the years is keeps on being the bad spot on the Miami Dolphins. It's been different general managers, different head coaches. Like I said in my Dolphins Thirsty blog today, we've changed offensive line coaches as often as some people change their socks. It's just, and nothing worked. We just can't get the right chemistry. So hopefully now for a couple years we just get some chemistry and keep an offensive line coach. But yes, the offense has struggled. The defense is a little bit of a hit as far as that goes.
Yes.
And but McDaniel, he had a long press conference today, but one of the key things I thought was interesting he said was that, well, I'm pumped if I like average. I'm kind of paraphrasing, not exact quote, but he's basically saying, "Oh, I'd be excited if if I liked average." So he basically said that the Dolphins, when they asked him about the offense, he was saying it's average and that it's not as where it has to be by the time the first ball is kicked off on September 10th. So I mean, Friday night's a preseason game. Maybe can they start tuning some stuff up, get some of the nastiness out there. But it's hard in the preseason because the starters don't even get that much reps.
That's
so
right.
it's like it's going to a lot fall on the first game of the year. So I'm a little worried about Tua's because Barry Jackson of the Miami Herald, who's normally very very positive and tries not to stir it up too much. He said that Tua was off today, that he just didn't seem accurate. So, hopefully that's just a day. You're going to have good days and you're going to have bad days. Hopefully, we're just still getting timing and all that issues. These are the first time we've gone against people that's different than our own guys. So, it's different looks. Well, the good thing, though, they said that Tua looked good in the red zone. I did see that. So he did look good in the red zone when they did those drills. So at least that's a positive. Mike White, like you said, looked good in those and Devon A-Chain, he had a nice play today, 25-yard touchdown, and that was thrown by Skylar Thompson. So we do have some positives. We're not all Debbie Downers or, negative Neds. We do have some positive news out there and Jalen Phillips is looking good. David Long is looking good. So we should see. Mozart didn't play today. You said Christian Wilkins. I didn't even catch that one. But you said behind stage, Christian Wilkins didn't take any reps today.
Right. He didn't play at all. I mean, they're keeping him. They wanted to keep the practice tame because Christian Wilkins, he gets after those guys, man, and which is great. I like to see that.
Yeah,
But they didn't. It was
needed. Yeah.
Yeah. They didn't want any a lot of fights to break out today, even though they had 4 that broke out today.
Yeah.
But Christian Wilkins would have been right in the thick of that if anything was going on. So I guess they wanted, and to be quite frank with you, Christian Wilkins has been really great in these in the joint practice and also throughout camp. He's just been all over the place, just being himself. So I don't think we have to be too concerned about Christian Wilkins.
No, I agree. He's going to be fine. He's going to be good.
Yeah.
He's going to be ready to play. Only question is long term. Is he going to be a Miami Dolphin long term? That's the only thing we don't know.
Mm.
But we have him for this year. He's going to be fine. He's going to be the one thing about Christian Wilkins, for sure, he's going to give it his all every single play, and he's going to be
Absolutely.
all out. He's going to probably lead the NFL again in snap count almost among defensive linemen, be a solid, really good against the run and
Uh-huh.
can do enough damage in the middle that it helps out Phillips and Chubb on the outside, hopefully free up, because they would have to focus so much on him that frees
Hmm.
up the outside for them to get around. So that's I think a positive. So yeah, I'm not
Yeah.
worried about him. Jalen Waddle, I'm a little worried about. I haven't heard anything. Have you heard anything? Kept on looking all day. All
Uh,
I know is he was
yeah,
holding his right side after making a catch in
yeah,
practice. He
yeah.
walked off under his own power. He
Hmm.
walked off into the
Good.
training facility under his own power. But
Right.
outside of that, I haven't heard any updates
Maybe
as of the past
maybe
hour.
some folks in the chat have heard anything. They maybe they've been on top of that. I'll be quite frank with you. I've only looked a couple of times. I haven't really looked too hard, but I am concerned about Jalen Waddle, and I'm gonna. And this is the reason why I'm going to say this. Um, I was listening to Omar Kelly and Alan Poupart. I know some people like him, some people don't. I got that, but they made a good point, and they've been at all the practices. In fact, they're going to be up here in Houston as well next week. But what they said kind of made sense to a degree, and I really never thought of it this way. Maybe our wide receiver group isn't as deep or as good as we thought it was, because number one, um, Chosen has been making some noise.
Right.
He was quiet the first weeks of training camp, but in these joint practices and the practice prior to the joint practices, he's been making some really some circus catches. He's got some great hands. His speed is just crazy. But in Barrios has been doing well as well. But as far as Barrios and Chosen, Waddle, of course, and Tyreek,
Right.
nobody else has really been doing much at all. At all.
Yeah.
So, I mean, here a catch here and there. But
Yeah.
other than that,
Yeah, but they're
nothing.
really
And
good at the top. They're really good at the top. They got probably the best starting duel,
oh, yeah,
or
yeah, yeah,
among.
yeah. For sure. For
But
sure.
yeah, no, I
Yeah.
understand what you're saying though. We need a third receiver to be the guy that really steps up to be the third receiver. Someone has to step up to the table. Well, from what I hear, Braxton Berrios is really looking good.
Yeah.
Um, and Anderson is really looking good. Or Chosen, I'm sorry. Robbie Chosen. I
Yes.
probably messed his name up 10 times. I'm so
Yes.
used to saying Robbie Anderson. Then if it's Chosen, or then if it's but now it's Robbie Chosen. So Robbie Chosen has looked good, and he's doing
Mm-hmm.
some stuff. So I
Yeah.
mean, that's a positive. So there are some, like I said, there are some positive notes coming out of Dolphin Land.
Yeah, and
But
on defense, Brandon Peely has been. I mean, he hasn't been an all-star, of course. He's an undrafted free agent, but he's been doing really well. He might be a guy that we could, put on the practice squad, or hey, he may even make the 53-man roster. We don't know. Let's wait till the preseason starts. But he's been doing really well and taking Chris Wilkins' spot. He's been making some plays, behind the line of scrimmage. I think he even got a sack or two today. So he's doing really well, and that's a positive note.
no, it is. So like I said, there's a lot of good stuff. But I know as Dolphin fans, we're just so starved for a winning team, so we're going to
Mm-hmm.
react to any negative news coming out. But I also know that some teams look like they're all world beaters in the preseason. Then the
Yeah,
regular season
yeah,
starts and they look awful, and vice versa.
exactly.
Some teams look like, oh my God, they may not be what. Then they come out in the regular season and they start kicking butt.
Well,
So the
just to
things that
give you,
concern me are individual performances,
yeah,
not so much as a whole team, but like Tua's performance more, I need him to see him do
yes,
well. I
yes,
need to see the offensive line continue to do well and get
yes,
better every day. So stuff like that. That's how. And I'm not going to name each individual offensive lineman, but
right,
like for the most part, it is individuals. You need the guys
Yes.
that we all know that has struggled. We need Austin Jackson to stand up every single day, not just have a couple good days. Because earlier
Right.
in the camp, we were getting conflicting reports saying he wasn't doing well at
That's
all.
right.
Now, in the
Yep.
past couple of days, he is. So that's why I say you got to give it some time. Because I remember some of these guys, they were off for months. I mean, they all stay in shape in this day and age. It's not like the old days where they would go work for other companies in the off season. They train year round. But no matter what you train, you're still not in football shape playing in the outdoor sun against other pro athletes. So, it's really hard to keep that football mentality going 365. So I give him a little bit of benefit, but the ones that you've heard struggle in the past, they concern me more because I know Connor Williams, he balled out last year, and there was
Hmm.
reports in the beginning of training camp last year he was struggling, couldn't snap the ball well, couldn't got he wasn't didn't seem that sure of himself at center, and then yada yada yada. At the end of the season, he was one of the best centers in the league. So I'm not overly worried. Now, if it continues into the regular season, of course, then I get more worried about him. But Eichenberg, as you mentioned earlier, that concerns me because he's shown no sign of improvement, it seems like. At least you gave me some positive news on Austin Jackson. Robert Hunt, I can live with him for right now and struggling a little bit because he's proven he's a capable NFL player. And, we're just hoping that he's just got some little hit a little wall and he'll be better here in the next few days and get better. So that's those guys aren't. But the ones that have a history of not performing are the ones that make me
Hmm.
nervous. Like
Yeah.
Eichenberg makes me nervous.
Yeah.
So
No, I agree with you, Robin. You made a good point, though. Um, you know, uh, we're really not going to, unless McDaniel changes his mind or he does something new this year, we're not going to see this first string, play in the preseason. At least not a
yeah,
lot of the guys.
no, not a lot.
So,
They will all get some reps at some
mhm,
point, but they're not going to play. It's not going to be a long
yeah,
thing, which is, I
yeah,
mean, which makes sense though, because unfortunately injuries happen. The Dolphins have already been hit by Jalen Ramsey going out. Now we don't know about Waddle. Hopefully it's nothing serious and he's
hmm,
back. He did walk
hmm,
off, like I said, under his own power. But you
yep,
just like you're already getting beat up, and I understand why, but at the same time, then you weigh off the options like, well, okay, we don't want him to get hurt, but we don't want him to be totally flat going into the regular season either. So it's like you gotta balance it the best you can.
yeah. No, absolutely. You're absolutely right. But that's why it's so very important. It's very critical. And I know some folks say, "Oh, it's just practice." No, no. And actually, Hank made a good point. Finn's Table Talk made a good point, and he said, "Fix the basic stuff," and he's absolutely right. That's what training camp is about. That's what these joints practice is about. Is fix the fundamentals, the basic stuff. They're very important because those bad habits that you create now could lead into the regular season. And as you pointed out, we're not going to see these guys. The first string I'm talking about, we're not going to see them until probably the first game of the season. So that's why they've got to get the best out of these guys in these practices that they can, and they are. These guys are out there giving 110%. Don't kid you not. You
Right.
know, now, and you mentioned about Eichenberg, you're concerned about him, and some of these other guys you're not because we know what they can do. And you're right. We know what Waddle can do. We know what Tyreek Hill can do. We even know what Chosen can do.
Right.
He's proved it in the past. He's a proven
Right.
veteran. He played against he was playing with a quarterback that was really not that good, and yet he had over 95 catches, 100 catches, or whatever it was. Y'all can
Yeah.
go and check his stats out. He and he did
Well,
well,
he's
so we know
performed
what
at
he
the
can do.
NFL level. He stretches defenses. So yes,
Yeah,
that's why I
yeah.
say I'm not as worried about those. Like I
Mhm.
say now, 4 weeks into the season, if we're still saying they're struggling, then I'd be hitting the panic button, and then that's a
Bingo.
whole right. That's a whole different story.
Yeah.
But as of right now, as we're sitting here on August 9th, 2023, which is 1 month and 1 day until the first regular season game on September 10th, then I'm not that worried right now. But yes, the offensive line are always going to scare me because that's the one thing Chris Greer, for whatever reason, and it's not all on him because he doesn't go out there every day and scout his scouts or the advice he's getting, or it's the coaching of the offensive line. There's so many variables that we don't know. But for whatever reason, Chris Greer has not been able to put together a consistently good. We don't even need a great offensive line. We just need a good offensive line because we got a lot of speed on this. So if you just have a good offensive line, these guys are going to get open and they're going to make plays down the field. They're going to make plays out of the running back. And because we got A-Chain, who's impressive. Mozart didn't practice today, but they said he wasn't. Hey, thank you, Baird. Another good network, guys. I know I hate to be Mr. Promo tonight, but DG Live's in here. Fans Tego Top. He's another good network to go check out. Another always good Miami Dolphin stuff. Going to try to get him on the show, and it's always fun. And I'd go on his show anytime he wants me. In fact, I'm about to drop a link now, and if anyone wants to. If anyone wants to join us, we're open panel tonight. We're going to talk all things Miami Dolphin, get some different perspective because Steve and I tend to follow the same people, the Barry Jacksons of the world, the Omar Kellys of the world, and anyone that talks about the Dolphins on a regular basis. David Frunones, I'm probably mispronouncing, of the Sun Sentinel. These are the guys that we follow because they're the ones that are actually out there every single day watching our
Cameron Wolf. Cameron Wolf is another
Cameron Wolf.
Yeah.
I did watch the NFL Network this morning. They were out there. So him and Brian Davis is out there. And what's his name? The guy that always makes big news. Ian Rappaport, he was out there today. So it was good. The NFL Network was visiting. They were also visiting the Chicago Bears and Dallas Cowboys, but they were here in South Florida talking about our Dolphins. And they said their take was that the Dolphins are winning the speed battles and the Falcons are winning the muscle, tough football battle. So it's going to be so speed wise, it seems like we've been doing well, but they've been dominating in the trenches, which I know if Brett was in here tonight of our Fins Talk Sports Network, he'd be upset because he's all about the trenches. And he, he says, I'm tired of being bullied because he thinks the Dolphins get bullied around by these stronger teams, which they have over the years. And we keep on thinking we're going to improve it. Hopefully, Butch Berry, he has a different offensive line mentality. I know he's like our 10th coach in 9 years, basically, or something crazy stat like that I read along the offensive line. Because you got to remember, Flores fired one in the preseason before he even coached the game. So, but he counted us on the staff for a while. So it's crazy. So we just need more consistency up front, Steve. So it's, that's where all the games are won because we all love to talk about stats. All the guys that love fantasy football loves touchdowns, rushing yards, receiving yards. But without the winning in the defensive line and offensive line, you're not going to win many football games. So
absolutely. I agree with you 100%.
Oh, we got a guest coming in. Hey, Tony, how are you?
Hey, Steve.
Hey, Tony.
It's been a while, guys. How are you today?
Good.
No, doing well.
And
Tony, you throw me off. You're normally Anthony, man. I thought I said, oh, this and you even got a new icon up there.
I change my name every once in a while to mess with people.
Yeah, hey, no, it's good. I'm used to the little dog icon up here when you come in. So.
Steve, you guys were talking about practice, right?
Yes.
Yep.
Joint practice.
For me, I said this on another panel. I'm not sure what your guys' opinions on this. For me, when I look at these practices, I look at it from both directions. I'm a Dolphins fan first, but I'm looking at it. It helps the young player. These practices are helping a young team like the Falcons develop their players, but we're getting ready for a playoff run. But they're just getting into. They're trying to be where we are going to be. They're trying to be in the future where we are now and stuff like that. Right. So for me, as a Dolphins fan, these joint practices are not just helping us; it's helping the Falcons too develop their young players. Do you agree?
Oh no, for sure. You're on
100%.
point, Tony. You're 100% on point because for weeks they just practice against themselves. That starts getting boring. So it definitely helps when you bring in new and you see different looks and you get to compete against people, not beating up your own linemen together. You're actually hitting the other people.
I'm surprised. And Steve, you watch college football, correct?
No, I don't.
You don't?
I don't.
I watch some, Anthony, not as deep as you do, but I watch like the Florida
for
Gators.
Me, this is why I kind of wished college football college football is going to become like the NFL eventually, where I bet you they're going to do joint practices with other colleges and stuff like that. To like, if these conferences are going to be, some of these conferences are going to merge with each other. So
Oh no, for sure. There's already talks like FSU wants out of the ACC.
There's new reports saying that Greg Sankey, the guy who's the head of the SEC, wants to merge with the ACC.
Yeah. Oh, that would be the super conference. That would become the super conference for sure. They're already the super conference. Hey, Cap for life. Welcome as always. If you want to join us, Cap, and give your spin on what you're thinking about the Dolphins so far this early training camp period,
and I think
please
fans
click
overreact when it comes to how we perform in these joint practices, forgetting the fact that sometimes we're facing a team that has young players that need development. So it's not that we're not practicing hard. They're not doing it at 100% because they're helping bring along the young players from the other team. We were at that point last year before we got Tyreek. We were at that point when we did the joint practice with Tom Brady and the Bucs.
Right.
Remember, we were a young team like that.
Nah, but Anthony, I disagree with you 100% on this. There's no way that they're going half speed out there practicing. There's guys out there that are trying to make
No, I'm not saying half speed. I'm not saying 50%.
Well, whatever
I'm saying
speed,
like maybe 75%.
No, they're going 100 and 110%. Trust me. They're not out there going, doing 70, 80 or 90. Yeah. No. They're out there trying to make the team, okay? I don't buy that. I'm sorry.
You don't?
No.
I agree a little bit. Maybe it's like more focus for the Falcons, but I don't agree. Like, maybe they're putting like they're more mentally because they want to show that they compete against the big boy Dolphins and stuff. But no, I'm with you, Steve, too. Though I mean, none of the individual players, because they all know their NFL careers are on the, other than
no, I'm not saying that. I'm not. Let me clarify. I'm not saying that the Dolphins are not going at 100% full throughout the practices. Is what I'm saying is where the way we're performing in certain aspects also, like the offensive line specifically, people are concerned that we let the defensive line for the Falcons dominate us during these practices, forgetting that what's his name? Teron only just started practicing as a starter.
Oh, yes, I know.
Yesterday.
I mean, no, that's for sure. I mean, we all know that Armstead's not going to practice much. We understand that. Well, unfortunately, he may also not play a lot when the regular season comes. He may miss a lot of games. So we do have to worry about whoever.
His injury history.
No.
And I've said this multiple times, Steve.
Yes.
With offensive linemen in general, it's not natural for you to like these guys. We as fans, we complain that these offensive linemen are constantly getting injured, but we need to realize it's not natural for you to be carrying 350 pounds you're putting so much pressure on your knees and stuff like that. Like,
sure.
Let's be honest. That's why Teron is having these knee issues now as he gets older, because you're not really supposed to be carrying that much weight naturally.
I mean, it's there's not many guys that size walking around planet Earth. I mean, it's just it's crazy. That's why they're so hard to find. And before we go on, Ender and Vito and Cap, welcome to all of you. The link is out there if you guys want to join and give your view on the Dolphins. Please hit that link and come in. And
so Steve, what is your opinion on what I'm saying about the offensive line? Do you think fans need to calm down when they criticize these offensive linemen getting injured all the time, not realizing that these guys people are not naturally supposed to be that big, or that in terms of girth or height are not supposed to be that naturally that big? You think fans need to be less critical, realizing the injuries are being caused because they're carrying so much weight around?
Well, no, you got a good point. There's no doubt that's some of the problem is they're carrying too much weight, these injuries. But hey, it's a physical game, right? So they're going to get hurt no matter what kind of weight they're carrying around. But the
No, I
bottom line
agree.
is, I'm not so much concerned about, I am concerned about the injuries, but the way that they get injured and if they're carrying too much weight around, hey, that's just the way it is. It is what it is. My
Right.
concern is the performance and production. And that's what I'm critical about of our O-line right now. It's not the injuries so much, although of course we'd like to see Terron Armstead stay healthy for a full season. I don't think that's going to happen, but hey, anything's possible. I want to see the performance and the production of these guys, and right now we're not getting the best that we can out of these guys, whether it's practice or not. It doesn't matter. And I've heard all these excuses about, well, they're playing. They're not. It's a vanilla offense. They're not really showing everything and all that. It doesn't matter if they're showing everything or whatnot. It's the execution. They're not executing.
Even the vanilla stuff.
Even the vanilla stuff.
No, I agree with you, and that goes for any position. That's the one thing I would never be critical on, is that injuries, because it's just part of the game. I'm not going to knock a player for getting hurt. It is though part of the evaluation when it comes to our QB1. I would say that because he has a history of getting hurt, and then you have to factor that in. But am I going to blame Tula because he has a tendency to get hurt, or Armstead? No. But unfortunately, it does become part of the evaluation of a player because if he's
and our fan base, like for me, I feel that the fan base in general tends to overreact when we're not performing that well in training camp. For me, I would be more worried if we're not performing well at the beginning, the first few, or if this issue is persistent through the first 4 or 5 games of the season. That's when I'm worried. I'm not worried about preseason or what is it called, these joint practices.
Mm-hmm.
To be honest, I'm not as worried as like people are overreacting to me. Like,
no, I mean, of course, fans are always going to overreact, almost on every single fan base across the NFL. Unless
the Joe
maybe
Burrow thing scared me. Like, did you see? Apparently, they think he might miss another full season because of this injury.
Oh, I haven't seen that. Is that a reliable source you saw, or just people saying that? I haven't seen that.
No, what is it called? I was watching NFL Network today, and they had a doctor on, and the doctor said he's. It's not that he has experience doing surgery on Joe Burrow. He's just saying with the injury that he suffered, he might have to miss another season.
Hey, hey, Anthony, did you hear what Jalen Ramsey said about that doctor? That's on the NFL Network.
Yeah, he took a shot at the
doctor. He told him, number one, that doctor's not in control. God is in control.
Said that dog never even
and
looked
number
at
two, he doesn't know his body. He's not his doctor. So how can he make a projection like that?
Yeah,
I'm just saying. Yeah, I'm just a messenger. Don't get mad at me.
Sometimes I trust it. I trust it a little bit too much. That's why I brought it up.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. That's great. It's a good point you make.
Because everything I was hearing, maybe a few weeks for what I heard with Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but like I say, I don't follow the Bengals as much, but I thought that would be really big news because.
Hey, what was your guys' opinions on the? Did you guys see the induction ceremony for Zach?
Yeah, I mean, I caught some. I was on vacation, but yeah, I did see. I thought he spoke well in the part I saw. I was on the road on a big road trip.
He did something that I was shocked. He did the same thing that Scott Rowland did. He thanked his coaches, and he almost like spit in the face of the NFL, even though he got inducted into the NFL Hall of Fame. He thanked his coaches and his family, but not the actual NFL for drafting him and stuff like that. So
well, his coaches are part of the NFL, right?
Yeah, I know. And he did think. I think he did think like being drafted. So yeah, I mean he was happy about being drafted. So
no, I understand the coaches that he's like that coach in the NFL work for the NFL, but what I'm saying is how he said it seems like he's more thanking the coaches than the actual
I
the actual
understand. Yeah.
NFL overall
Yeah.
NFL. Like,
Yeah, I see your point. Yeah, I see your point.
Yeah.
I to be quite frank with you, I just saw some. I didn't see all of the indoctrination or anything like that. But I can see your point. It is a privilege to play in the NFL.
Yeah.
So for you guys, I'm a younger fan. Steve, you've watched a lot. You guys watch football. This is just
Hey, why are you asking me? Rob's been around a while too, you know.
I know.
Oh, you too, Rob. You too, Rob. You guys have
Yeah.
been football fans longer than I have.
You
You've
calling
seen
me
more
old,
players-
Anthony?
Huh?
Yeah.
I'm in my early 30s, so
I hear you,
only seen
brother.
the
I hear
90s.
you. I hear you.
Yeah.
I'm pulling your leg.
Yeah.
Well, what I'm gonna ask for you guys is: there a player that you watched as a young kid, or as like you got older, that you are surprised? Not a Dolphins player, just an NFL player in general that hasn't got inducted into the Hall of Fame yet, that deserves to be in the Hall of Fame.
Well, Richmond Webb is up there close to Hall of Fame status. Bob Kuechenberg on the
No, I'm
Miami
talking
Dolphins.
about non-Dolphins players. Non-Dolphins.
Oh, non-Dolphin. Now you're
That's a lot of
asking.
players.
Yeah, I know. Now that's asking outside my wheelhouse.
For like the Bills
I'm
or
Dolphins
the
thirsty
Patriots,
for a reason.
specifically.
But what's that?
From like teams like the Bills, or like teams that we faced all like in our division, like the
Man,
Jets, the Patriots.
Anthony, that's a loaded question, man. There's so many players that number one, I don't even remember what I had for breakfast this morning. But there's just so many players
For
out
me,
there.
I say Teddy Bruschi.
Teddy Bruschi, yeah, I can see Teddy
Do you
Bruschi.
think he's a Hall of Fame quality linebacker, or do you think he's more of a good player, a good linebacker?
Man.
Well, that was a debate about Zach, because all Dolphins fans thought Zach Thomas was a
Yeah.
Hall of Famer, but for a lot of fans outside, was, oh, he's just Hall of Good. He's not Hall of Fame. Would be their comeback.
He
at
didn't
a
evolve
lot of people.
like I can see where other fans say that Zach, he didn't evolve the position. Like
he would
change the way the linebacker position was played, like you saw with a Ray Lewis or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but he just, I think he is, man, because Peyton Manning said he was the most difficult guy to ever. He goes, he would hate playing against him because he always knew what was coming. And Peyton Manning would be like, son of a gun, right when he's about to snap the ball.
He said the same thing about Ed Reed. He hated playing against Ed.
Yeah, Ed Reed was definitely a Hall of Famer.
Yeah. So
what do you guys? Realistically, what do you want the record to be for the preseason?
No, I can care less about the preseason win-loss record. I just want to see individual performances.
No, in terms of who you want. Is there a player that you guys don't like? Is there a young player or a player in general you guys would agonize over if he gets cut off the team? Like a young player specifically, like a guy that's on the team now that you want to stay on the team to see how he develops instead of cutting him and him performing well on another team.
Isukamo, Easy E.
Easy E?
On the offense, yeah.
Defense? Do you have a defense player?
Defense. Young players on the defense. Yeah, I'd hate to see them cut Cam Smith, but
that's not gonna happen.
I don't think they will. But I mean, what other young players do we have on a defense?
For me, I'm gonna say Verone McKinley.
Verone McKinley. Okay, that's fair.
Trill Williams is what Vito, about maybe another topic, but he wants to watch
Trill Williams. Yeah, Trill Williams.
I would like to see Trill Williams because we've been hearing about him for like over a year because he got hurt going into that. So, and then, we heard about how he's been working off season. So I agree with Vito also on that one. I would like to see Trill Williams in action and see how he plays.
Well, he's made a transition from cornerback to safety this year.
Yeah.
But here's the deal. As much as we like to see Trill Williams make it, because I like him, he showed some flashes last year in camp and also in preseason. But Vic Fangio's already said we don't have a starting strong safety right now. And from the reports I'm getting about Brandon Jones is exactly what I felt. He doesn't fit the system. So I don't think Brandon Jones. I don't know if he's even. I don't even know if he's 100% because he's out there lost when it comes to coverage. He's a press
Right.
guy. He's a inside
But
guy,
he's really good at blitzing and stuff.
blitzing
So
and stuff.
maybe
That's
they
all
can
he
make
is.
him like a hybrid linebacker or something. I don't know.
Nah, he's
Oh
not
my
gonna. I don't think
God.
he's gonna start.
Guys, I've said this multiple times. Make him gain weight and move him to linebacker permanently. Move him to
Yeah.
friggin' linebacker.
But
I've said
Anthony, that wouldn't be his natural weight. He could get hurt.
Hey guys, let's see. So I agree. So
I know
hey,
you're messing
Vito's
with me,
going to be
Steve.
at the game and the preseason game. I'm not going to be at that game. I normally don't go to the preseason games, but hopefully you can meet people. Vito, hook up with the Big E. He would know all kinds of people that he can meet. A lot of he would hook you up with
I'll talk to
meeting.
you guys in the chat. See you guys.
All right,
Hey,
later,
hey,
Tony.
Anthony. Thank you, brother. Appreciate you, man.
Bye.
Fins up. Hey, all right, guys, we're back. Well, I forget all the time. That's why I am not a promoter. Please, I do have the scroll thing going on there today, at least. But please, guys, and if you really like us, and only if you really like us, because we have to earn it here in the United States the good old-fashioned way. So if we've earned it, please throw a laser pass at that subscribe button, and you would make me very happy and give you guys all a big fins up.
Hey, Rob, can I answer a question Vito asked about? Do we still have Eric Rowe? No, we don't.
Yeah, he's gone.
He's
Yeah,
gone.
thank you, Vito. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's gone. A couple of the other guys are gone, but for the most part, a lot of guys from last year are back. So we will see. I haven't really heard much about Van Ginkel. Have you, since the very start of camp, where they were saying they were experimenting with him at inside, but
Nah,
I haven't heard anything bad, and I haven't heard anything good.
yeah,
So
he
I don't
hasn't.
know.
I haven't heard anything at all. Not even his name come up.
Yeah,
I've heard Agba, and Agba's experiment is completely failing. He doesn't.
yeah,
He's not a linebacker. They've experimenting with him at linebacker, so that tells you something, right?
right.
But yeah, and I'm concerned, and I'm glad we're talking about the defense. And I know we brought up Brandon Jones and stuff like that. And I said he may not even be 100%, and he doesn't look 100%.
Right.
Needham, I don't think Needham's going to play. I think they're going to keep him on the pub. He doesn't look ready at all. I don't think he's going to be ready until maybe I think it's they can miss 4 games, right? If you put him on pub, is it
To
4
start
games
this
before they
season,
can
right?
play?
Right now, he's eligible to come off whenever, but if
Yeah,
he starts this season, yeah, he has to be like 4 games
yeah.
out.
I don't think we're going to see him. So, and again, we don't. Terrell Williams gained some weight. He looks a lot more muscular. I don't know. He hasn't really been. He's been making some plays here and there. But who else was hurt that I'm thinking of that was hurt last year? That
Well,
missed.
obviously.
It was Needham. It was Needham.
Well,
Terrell
Byron
Williams.
Jones is gone, but Byron Jones was
Jones
hurt
is
all
gone.
this.
Right. Okay, maybe that was it. I don't think there was anybody else who was hurt in the back. Right.
But we were really getting hurt around the
Yeah.
backfield. So I mean,
Yeah.
you got Cater Kohu playing as an undrafted free agent during the playoff stretch when we were
Right.
trying to get into the
Right.
playoff. You've had a lot of injuries. But
Yeah,
from all accounts,
absolutely.
it seems like he's picked up where he's left off and is looking really good out there. I haven't heard his name over the past couple of days either, though.
He's playing average.
Okay.
Average. He hasn't been really. I mean, he's made a play here and there, but I'm telling you, the defense all around has been playing good. Okay.
Right.
I'm just in the offensive line. I mean, the defensive line hasn't really, without Christian Wilkins. Even when Christian Wilkins was playing the other day, they weren't making the big impact, the big splash plays like we were seeing them playing against our offensive line. Let's put it that way.
Yep. And I do think that, Vito, that Cater could be in that slot cornerback or nickel, but I do believe that
And who's going to play? Who will be playing cornerback then?
Well, I know that's the problem. That was before Jalen Ramsey, of course, because then Jalen Ramsey went. But I'm unless Cam Smith, I think Cam Smith's going to end up getting a lot of playing time. It looks like as a rookie, so they might battle for the outside. Whoever wins the outside, and the one that loses is still going to get a lot of playing time on the inside. Is what I think happens between those two guys.
Yeah,
So
it's good point. Yeah, but I mean, we don't. I know we're saying, well, we got a lot of depth. Not really, because we don't know about Brandon Jones. He still doesn't look 100%, and he hasn't.
Yeah.
And I don't think he fits the scheme. And then we don't know about Needham. I don't believe he's going to start the season for us. I'm afraid not. And then Trill Williams, we don't know how he's going to make that transition. So I know everybody's saying, well, we're real heavy in depth and in the backfield, but not really.
No,
Not
I know.
because
Your depth
why
goes down.
would Vic Fangio be getting three or four? We got 21 defensive backs. Why does he keep wanting defensive backs? And we got a linebacker and we got a defensive tackle. By the
Well, the one
way,
thing Chris Greer has always said,
Mhm.
even though I picked on him earlier, Chris Greer, he's always said you can never have enough defensive backs in today's NFL. And I think
21.
McDaniels echoed that. I know. But remember, they're not all, hey, but, if you throw a whole bunch of, fish in the bowl, you're going to catch some good ones.
Well,
So,
we would hope, right?
yeah, you would hope. And Adam, fins up to you for coming in here today, Adam. Always a pleasure to see you guys. Please throw a laser pass at that like button when you're here. I like to call it the fins up, but YouTube calls it the thumbs up. So thank you guys for joining us. So Steve, I mean, we're getting near the end of the show. We got a lot of Dolphin stuff out of the way talking about, but
Oh, can I bring something up, Rob?
of
Real
course,
quick.
always, man. Yep.
I didn't mean to interrupt you. I'm
Go.
good. I'm good at doing that.
Yeah, it's
as
great.
as
I'm used
as
to it.
if anybody knows about the Real Talk Fins Talk show, I'm good at that.
Yeah.
I would like to talk a little bit about another concern I have, and that's
Go for it.
Jason Sanders.
Oh, yes, you did. You sent me a thing. I
The
mean, the
other
funny thing you sent
day,
me.
the
That
other day he was 3 of 7. He is not looking good as far as our kicker is concerned. Look, the last couple of years he's kind of gone down. He was an
he did.
All-Pro at one time, but I'm very concerned because if we're getting into the playoffs or even close games this year, and he's missing a 35-yarder or 40-yarder that could win that game, we're in trouble, folks.
Oh no, of course. He did pick up towards the end of last season and got a
Yes,
little more consistent.
yes,
So he gave us that hope. But now, like you said, I'm taking your word on this because, like I say, I just got back from a long road. I mean, a
right,
week on the road, so I
right.
didn't follow. Had to finally dedicate some time to the wife and the kids and having my face in Dolphin social media. So I didn't hear, but you told me he kicked like 3 for 7 in some drills that they were watching and marking
Yeah,
his accuracy. So that's
yeah,
I don't know, and I agree. I don't know what went wrong either, man. He's just I'm surprised that they didn't bring in. I mean, if it was just a training camp
I agree.
competition, I'm surprised because they've already got rid of the one punter. A lot of people saying, "Oh, Turk's going to make the team. He's going to make the team,"
Yeah,
and
yeah.
he's like one of the undrafted guys that's almost guaranteed to make the team, and he's gone before they even sniffed their first preseason game.
Well, they
You know?
forgot we had Jake Bailey, who was an
Yeah,
All-Pro punter, and
yeah, I know.
he's done okay in practices. He's done
But
all
at
right.
least but at least going into the camp, he thought, "Oh, I might have some competition,"
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
so it keeps the mind fresh. But if Jason Sanders, he came into the camp knowing he had no competition, and I don't like that in any job. You need a
I don't.
little something
I
to keep
don't.
you fresh and going. So even if
Mhm.
he knew he would win, the job,
Yeah,
at
yeah,
least bring even if it's an undrafted free agent kicker, bring him in
yeah.
and at least have him kick through camp and keep get Sanders, I better keep my I better get my act together or I may not win this thing if that kid comes in there and kicks well. So to me, I would have definitely at least brought one in. I mean, if they did what they did for the punter and he's already gone, at least he would have had some guy there feeling like, oh, I'm not the only guy. Because when you go to the Dolphins practice, you watch over there and he's all by himself, lonesome, kicking all by himself, no competition, no one else doing anything. So it's like to me, it would have been good to just like a little torch under his rear end to get ready for the upcoming season, especially since he didn't have the year like you said.
Yeah.
And we pay him well for a kicker, so
Mhm.
he needs to start living up to it. Get
Yeah.
back to the Jason Sanders that we all know he can be, and hopefully, like you say, it's rust, and
Mhm.
it's
Mhm.
sometimes it's timing, and he just needs to kick out that rust, but you can't be going under. What distances were they? Do you know that?
Yeah, I think they were. Oh man, you know what? I would be lying if I told you. I know one of them was a good distance of like 50, 55.
Okay.
And then they broke it down to like 45, yards. And I'm not sure if they went any lower than that.
Yeah.
I just caught the first couple kicks, and then
Yeah.
I don't know what happened from there. But then I
Well,
know at the end of the practice, I think it was Alan Poupard, if I'm not mistaken, or one of those beat writers wrote that he was 3 of 7 for that day.
yeah. No, and the one thing about the kicker position, it's changed over the years because, like, Anthony pointed out, you and I aren't the youngest guys that are Dolphin fan, and it used to be rare
Thanks,
when
Anthony.
yeah, I know exactly. If a Dolphin kicker, I mean, if any NFL kicker, like 50, oh, that was pushing it. Now you almost expect a kicker to make a 50-yard field. I know it's crazy, but you
with no
expect
with
that.
no rush, nobody
Yeah,
coming
I know.
on him.
Well, especially if no rush. But even in a game, you almost now after 50, then you're asking for a lot. But
Yeah.
anything in the 40s, you expect an NFL kicker to make more than he misses. I mean, any kicker, just like any pitcher. I mean, if they're a great pitcher in baseball, they're going to give up a home run ball or once in a while let one bad get out of their hand.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes you're going to, but you got to have a consistent kicker
No, I
because
agree.
especially
I agree.
again in the playoffs, the kicking is going to may be the difference between winning and losing.
Yes, sir.
You
Even in
may get
close
down
games
there,
this year.
yet it's you got to get back up there. I'm
Mhm.
not panicking about him yet, but I just wish they would have had a little bit of competition. If he goes out in these preseason games like Friday night and he's 4 for 4 with two people coming, then I'm going to say, okay, that was just practice, and they were just trying to do different stuff. Who knows? Whatever.
Yeah. If he misses one in the preseason, misses one or two, I can't say I guarantee because I don't know, but I will say this: I think we'll see another kicker come
Yeah,
in if he
they may
misses
look
one or
at
two.
that waiver wire
Yeah,
because you
for
almost
sure.
fooled me with that fake um meme you sent about
Oh,
Dolphin bring in, and
yeah,
then I see it's like Messi, the soccer
yeah.
player. I'm like, oh, Steve, I'm thinking, oh wow, they actually brought in a kicker, and then it was just like that Lionel Messi, whatever his
Lionel
soccer,
Messi.
yeah, Lionel Messi, the famous soccer player that's down here in Miami playing for the
Yeah,
ball club in Miami. So that
yeah.
was funny. But you had me for a minute saying, oh, okay, they brought in a camp body. Then I saw who it was. I'm like, oh, Steve. So, but that was funny. But yeah, I do think they should have brought someone in. It's like, and like to me, I would have been love until you have a Dan Marino, we would keep it Miami Dolphins and whatever, or a Bob Greasy. To me, until you have like some guy that's definitely your QB, you should always have him in competition at the quarterback position in a
Yeah.
camp to where it's an open battle and let the best person win. I know Tua's our QB1. I'm not saying he's not, but I still think we should just have because that's what happened to Ryan Tannehill. We brought in Ryan Tannehill and basically handed him the reins and never really had any real competition to push under his butt.
Yeah,
You
that's
know,
true. Yeah, good
I, I
point.
I think I think it's good. I would want to go in because I mean, unless you got your franchise, because you know, obviously no one's. I mean, Patrick Mahomes is the starter there for the next decade if he doesn't get hurt, and there's not going to be any competition. And just same thing with Brady when he was in New England. But if you don't have your number one guaranteed, and I hate to say it, Dolphin fans, I try to be as positive as I can be. Tua is not a number one guy yet guaranteed. He could be, he could develop, he has shown signs, but between injury and inconsistency, I'm not willing to say he's
Oh
a
boy, Rob, you just put yourself on the line on that
no,
one.
but he's not QB1. And the Dolphins has proven he's not QB1 because Justin Herbert, as much as we hate to say it, the Chargers showed him he's their number one. They've already given him the big money. Yes, we put the 5th-year option on Tua, but that's not that much money. He would still be cheap next year if we keep him. So he may have to
Mhm,
prove it again next year. So
mhm.
that's what I'm saying. I like Tua. I'm about as much as Homer as I admit, but when it comes to Tua, I'm not on the Tua's our guy. We have our franchise quarterback for sure because he hasn't between durability this is my biggest fear with Tua. But then, like you say, he is inconsistent. Sometimes he looks like the most accurate quarterback in the NFL, throwing laser passes on the money, perfectly timed. I'm going to say laser because he doesn't have the strong, but he would throw strong
Yeah,
passes, perfectly timed. But then the next practice, he would bounce one before the receiver or underthrow him or be way off. So he needs to be more consistent. That's
yeah.
all. And like I
In
say, he doesn't even need
December.
to be Hall of Fame Dan Marino good. He just needs to be
Mhm,
good with all the weapons
yeah.
we have on this team. He just needs to be a solid quarterback, avoid the mistakes, lead this team to win. And yes, I know most of the quarterbacks that win it all now are really the big name quarterbacks, but you can still win if you have a really good quarterback.
Yeah.
I believe if
No,
everything
you're
else goes well.
you hit the nail on the head. A really good quarterback. And this is what I said. I've been saying, or I've said earlier in the year, when you and I were talking about Tua. I said, no, he doesn't have to be a great quarterback or elite quarterback. He just has to be, as you stated, consistent. And I said from a scale of from 1 to 10, he has to be a consistent 7 throughout the year, a consistent 7, which is above average, right?
Right.
And I think we'd be okay. And I still believe that. But and I'll just leave this thought with everyone. Right now, in this training camp, and remember, we're not going to see him until September against Herbert. But right now in this training camp and these joint practices, or better yet, all through this camp this year so far, he's been a 5.
Right.
Consistently.
Right.
He hasn't been a 4. He hasn't been a 6. He's been a 5. We got to get him up to 7.
Right. I agree with you. He needs to get up there, and a lot of that comes with staying on the field, playing the whole season.
Yeah.
Keeping all the guys healthy, of course. But yes, he has the capability, but to me, he's not. And the Dolphins have shown he is not. And Cap Light pointed it. They actually asked Tua that during his interview today. They go, "Oh, did you notice there was no orange jersey?" And then Tua said, "Oh, no, I didn't even know there was a no orange jersey." But now I think if it could catch by you guys. So I don't know if he was just
I like that. I like that.
But
I
yeah.
like that.
So that shows that they don't think anyone showed out yesterday and did well enough to get an orange jersey. And I like that too,
Yeah.
because people were asking Fangio about a week ago, "Oh, why doesn't David Long have an orange jersey yet? He looks like he's making some big plays." He goes, "Well, I don't yes, he's making some flash plays, but I need more consistent before I say to someone that they get an orange jersey." So he's like that old school, you better have almost a perfect practice if you're going to wear the orange jersey with Fangio out
Absolutely.
there. And
Absolutely.
that's how it should be because it's something that, like a little honor. They get to play the music they want. And that's what he did bring out because Tua said, "Yo, I don't even know whose soundtrack now that you say it. I don't even know whose soundtrack we were listening to today." So that was a good point and good point by you, Cap. Thank you for bringing that up.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
That's true, Cap. Christian Wilkins didn't play today. I think we know what we got in Christian Wilkins. But I think, my opinion, I think they kept him out because he's been stirring up trouble the whole, not just with the joint practices, all through the camp. He's been stirring up trouble with his own teammates on the offensive line. He's been talking trash. I mean,
well, that's why we all
X-rated
love him,
stuff. But that's Christian Wilkins,
And that's why we all love him because that's why, it makes me hope they sign him. But then at the same time, it's just they got so many other guys that we got to keep. But I hope they keep him because he's a baller. He's 100% all the time. He goes out there. Even when the offense scores, he's one of the first down there celebrating with the offense. To me, it's just he's a fun guy. And it's good to get under people's skin sometime because you may cause them to do a stupid penalty if you're napping at them all. They may take a little swipe at you and you get a 15-yard penalty against them. So,
just
it never hurts.
Just ask the Buffalo Bills offensive line. They can't stand him.
Yep, I know exactly. I don't think Josh Allen's any big fan either.
And I actually believe he did pinch his nuts.
Yeah, hey, he may have. I know that's what he got accused of.
Knowing Christian Wilkins, I believe he did. Hey, he's even admitted. He said, "I have a twisted sense of humor."
Yeah,
So,
hey, exactly. But and they said like Channing, no, who was it? One of the guys, not Channing Crowder, it was another guy. Leroy Horde, he does a show down here that used to be a football player. He played for Michigan back in the day and played on the Browns and different stuff. But he was saying, yeah, guys like Christian Wilkins when he's on the team, sometimes you love them and they're your best buddy, but then sometimes you're just not feeling it. And those guys are like feeling it 24/7, walking around and they're all like, hey, they do their jokes. And he said sometimes it just annoys you. So that's why he knows that he could probably get under his own team's skin sometimes.
He doesn't shut up. He doesn't shut up.
He said he had a player like that. I forget who he said. He goes, "Oh, every time to this day when I see him, he hops on my back and, I was at the airport one day, and then all of a sudden I get some guy hop on my back, and it's him. And he goes, "Oh my God, when are you gonna learn? We're not always in the happy mood, but you guys are just all go at it 100%." So that's Christian Wilkins, which as fans we love because we want those guys out there every day, busting their butt because we all bleed aqua and orange, and sometimes you get a little disappointed because you think, "Oh, our team's flat," or they don't care. But one thing about Christian Wilkins, he cares. He shows it in everything he does.
Oh yeah,
So
absolutely.
that's
Absolutely.
it. Well, see, now we're almost at the end. I think we covered
All
everything
right.
we wanted to talk about.
Mhm.
So hopefully, we just is just a little bump in the road and we start getting better reports. You will be out there in Houston watching them when they practice against
Yeah.
the Texans, and you're going to report on my channel and the Fins Talk Sports Network, and we're going to try to do a live show to the best of our ability while you get a chance.
Well,
It's going to be
and
a
I
first stab at it, so we may have some
yeah,
bumps on the
and that's what
road,
I
but
wanted to say. That's what I wanted to say. I'm just an
yeah,
amateur, guys, and I'm gonna.
yeah,
This might be the first time I'm gonna be reporting back from a live practice. So give me a little slack. I'll
yeah,
do the best I can for you. That's for sure. But
yeah. No, I'm
there'll
looking
be
forward to it.
some.
It's going to be
There'll be
fun.
some.
I'd be producing your show. You're just gonna have to give me the
Absolutely.
time, and I'll be on there to fill in while you're busy watching. You might run in. Hopefully, you run into Dr. Reggie Brown out there. That'd be fun.
Yep. Absolutely.
And then another name that gets people mad in here. Not that Dr. Reggie Brown gets people mad in here, but the name I'm about to say gets. You said you're going to try to hook up with TD Fins Talk.
Yes.
So,
Yes. That's the
so I know
plan.
he gets people, but you're going to try to meet him during the
Sure.
show next week.
Sure.
So just give me the time and we'll roll live and whatever. So what do you know what time it is?
Yeah, the practices start at 9 a.m.
Your
Central
time.
Time. Yeah,
So that's 10 a.m. my time or
correct.
whatever.
Yeah,
All right.
correct.
So
Yeah.
no, that's good. So I should be good. So
Hmm.
we should be able to roll. It's gonna be
Hmm.
fun, Steve. Hey,
Yeah.
it's not time to panic, like I said earlier,
Right.
but it
Right.
is time to get the ball rolling and start getting better because the offensive line needs
Absolutely.
to get better. Tua needs to be more consistent.
Yep.
Get the ball rolling. None of this. I'm telling you, this is the no excuse year. That's what I'm calling 2023 for the Dolphins. I
Hmm.
need to come up with a word that rhymes with 2023. That's no excuse or something. But to me, it's the no excuse season. We've put
Hmm.
it all there. We've made big trades. When I say we're Miami Dolphins, but the Miami Dolphins have made big trades. The minute they traded for Tyreek Hill during last off season, and they told the world. Then during the middle of the season, they trade for Bradley Chubb. So they're telling
Hmm.
us that they're all ready, that they're all in. They're giving up first round picks like they're candy. So to me, oh, thank you, man. Yeah, he told me. I keep on forgetting, man. This vacation threw me off. I meant to tweet it out there that he had some extra practice tickets. So thank you, Vito. Don't
Is
think
that
I ignore you.
is that for down to South Florida?
Yeah, it's for his
Oh,
South
okay. Yeah,
Florida
that's what I thought.
practices.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he told me the past 2 days, but I just gotten back from vacation. I'm trying to get caught up on personal stuff and all that, and then Dolphin stuff. So I forgot. But Vito's always good if he gets extra tickets. It would have been fun seeing those practices out
Yeah.
there. So that would have been cool stuff. The joint practices. I was at the practices the first 2 days of camp. Had tickets to go to the stadium practice, but in my wisdom, I forgot I was going to be on the road. So so I was on the road that day. But anyway, like you say, it's early, but in a month and a day, it starts for real. So the Dolphins, they have to start smoothing out, riding the ship, and step up because this is the Rob Dolphins thirsty, no excuse year for the Miami Dolphins. I don't want to
I'm
hear,
with you.
oh, but Tua got hurt again. Well, that's part of the story. Then he got hurt. We drafted a quarterback that gets hurt too much. Oh, but Armstead got hurt. Well, we signed him to a bag of money, and we knew that he's never played a whole NFL season without missing time before. So that's all on Chris Greer. To me, if we don't win a playoff game, to me, I'd be on the fire, Chris. I already on it, but I knew it was going to happen. But I would say he has to go. If we don't win, not get to the playoffs, I say win a playoff game. Chris,
Absolutely. I'm with you.
yep.
I'm with you.
Because when you do all of that, spend all that money. Stephen Ross said it when they asked him, Are you expecting results with all this money that you've been signing? He goes, damn right. That's exactly how he,
Absolutely.
he said it. So he's expecting wins. So, because he's done everything Chris Greer's coming at. Hey, I can get Tyreek Hill if you're willing to redo this, give him big money. Okay, where do I sign? Hey, I can get Bradley Chubb if you're willing to give, big money. Okay, where do I sign? So he's done everything. I know a lot of people pick on Ross, but it's not on Ross. It's all on Greer if we don't
No, I
win.
agree. I agree.
Because you can't even say, oh, maybe he didn't pick the right coach. McDaniel, well, guess what? He picked the coach. He picked Flores, and now he's already on his second coach. So if they don't win, once again, it's on Greer. So that's the one guy I will pick on, even as the big Homer Dolphin fan as I am. But now that I got all that thrill out of the way, I would say thank you guys. And just remember to give me that big thumbs up. I would love it so much. Try to grow this channel. And I do it just to talk Miami Dolphins football. No other reasons right now other than to just talk to you about Miami Dolphins football. So, Steve, as always, thank you.
Oh,
And
you're
again,
quite
if they want to
welcome.
find you, they can find you here on Dolphins Thirsty. They don't have any set schedule yet, guys, but I'm trying to figure out, where we can fit in the evening hours. But for sure, every Tuesday night at 7:30, you can find Steve and myself on the Fins Talk Sports Network.
Yep.
And Vito, you're always, like I always say, Vito's one of the best out there on Twitter. Always brings positive vibes. That's why I can safely have him in my timeline all the time, because there's not going to be something that gets me all crazy. So, he's always, I always like it when his name pops up. And Cap
Yep.
for Life, you're always great. You go to all the Dolphin shows. Always a pleasure to have you in here. And Hank was in here earlier. Anthony actually joined us. Tony now,
Yep.
but he actually joined our show. So I just want to, if I'm forgetting any of you, that just falls on me. The Bearded Podcast was on in here. So hey, a lot of you guys. Fins up to all of you. Steve, any final thoughts as I go find my closeout video?
No, man, I think we summed it up today. We need more consistency out of the quarterbacks. We got to fix that O-line. I'm not too concerned about the defense. I think we're going to be just fine on the defense side. Although, I like Vic Fangio's honesty, and he's doing everything he can. He's not happy with the product yet. So I like that attitude, but I think we'll be fine on defense, and a little more consistency, as I said, on the quarterbacks. Get that O-line fixed, and we should be okay.
Thank you, Cap for Life. And yes, everyone, stay safe out there. And fins up to all of you guys. And I'm with you, Steve. It's early, but there is reason for concern in some areas.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, we haven't even played the first preseason game yet.
Yeah.
This is the first time we got a taste of against another team, getting reports on how they're looking against another team. So let's see. I mean, you're going to be seeing them live out in Houston, so that'd be another good test. See how they do against them. If we get reports that Houston's beating our butt, then I'm really going to start getting concerned,
Oh, I'll let you know about it for sure.
Yeah, exactly. So let's just hope that's not the case.
Right.
So anyway, guys, we're about to close out. Fins up, thumbs up, go Dolphins. And Steve, let's do your famous Dolphins #1, and let's do it.
Remember,
Dolphins
#1, baby.
Yeah.
Dolphins
Fins
#1.
Miami has the Dolphins, the greatest football team. We take the ball from goal to goal like no one's ever seen. We're in the air, we're on the ground, we're all